Fire Brigades has a long tradition with the Anzac Day March. Indeed, the Fire Brigades had its own RSL sub-branch dating back to 1928, and they've marched ever since in the main Anzac Day parade in Sydney.
I've been marching with Fire and Rescue New South Wales for approximately the last 10 years or so. The last 3 years I've been quite honoured to actually be the contingent commander and lead the firefighters down George Street. A great honour indeed. My military career started as a private soldier and I've served in a number of infantry units such as 1 Commando Regiment. I've served time with 3 RAR. I've worked with 5 Headquarters 5th Brigade as a staff officer. I did my officer training through the Officer Cadet Training Unit at Bardia Barracks in the early 90s. When I graduated from there I served with 119 Battalion, which was known as the Bushman's Rifles, and had a large number of, back in those days, New South Wales Fire Brigade firefighters who served in all the various companies in the country, from Dubbo, Orange, Bathurst, all the way into the city.
I enlisted in September of 1941, just before the Japs raided Pearl Harbor. I managed to get in by putting my age up. I was still under 16 when I joined up the second time.
I'm Dave Gardner. Well known in the Fire Brigade for telling terrible jokes, and I march every year in the Fire Brigade and thoroughly enjoy myself. Well, these are my dad's Great War medals. One is the 1914-18 war, one is a Victory Medal, and that is the 1914-18 Star.
I was a 20-year career officer in the Australian Army and did service in Vietnam and in Papua New Guinea.
It means a fair bit to me as I have serviced myself with the Army for 11 years, and my family's got a big history too. My dad served for over 25 years and his mum and dad actually met when they were in the Army together during World War II at Port Kembla and got married.
Grandfather was Argonne Southern Highlander and he served in the Somme. Then my father was in the Royal Australian Navy as a ASDIC operator, or what they now call sonar operator. And myself, I entered the Naval College mainly because in those days there was still conscription for Vietnam, and I wanted to get away from home, so I joined the Navy.
I've been in the Navy Reserve for coming up to 25 years. My grandfather was in the First World War, in the 7th Light Horse. He volunteered, he was a wall classer at the back of Burke. He was in a number of major battles, including the Charge of Beersheba, which was the last of the cavalry charges ever. And he was in Damascus, Jerusalem, and a few other places.
Well, look, my father served in Singapore. Unfortunately, he died when I joined the training college, so he never got to see me as a firefighter. So about 10 years ago, I thought, yeah, look, I want to wear my dad's medals. I wear them proudly. I march in memory of him, together with my fellow firefighters. It's a really moving day, and it's hard not to get emotional when I think about not just my own father, but the people around us who have done so much.
Well, it's a camaraderie more than anything. You look forward to seeing fellas that you've known for years.
I spend quite a lot of time thinking about the mates that I've had.
The Fire Brigades have always been at the forefront of serving our nation, not only as firefighters but certainly as ex-services. Indeed, if you go back to the Metropolitan Fire Brigade of 1884, the very first bylaws indicated preference of employment to sailors, simply because they were used to heights, being up in the mast and things, and they were good at cordage work. So there was a high proportion of sailors in the New South Wales Fire Brigades.
It's a chance to wear your medals, a chance to polish your boots and actually go and display.
Also, Anzac Day is a celebration for those that made it back, mainly, unhurt. So I think it's their job to kind of remember the fallen and also to to pay respect to those that were injured.
It's realistic to think that he dealt with some pretty bad things, and I'll never know exactly, how that changed him as a man.
You never used to speak about it. Up to their neck in mud, covered in lice and under constant bombardment. So they were pretty tough men. He went to Egypt, and that's where he met the Australians. And he formed a terrific affinity with the Australians, more so than with the blokes from his own regiment.
It's a day that celebrates a defeat, but out of that defeat, I think the more significant thing that we got out of it was showing the Australian character. You know, the whole Gallipoli debacle sort of forged our nation and set Australian troops apart.
They had no sense of discipline, the Aussies. They didn't take any notice of the British officers at all. They used to go, "Oh, hello, old chap."
I think many people would share the view that that was really the time when Australia felt we were all Australians instead of a separate series of states. So it became an important national day. I feel grateful I'm still alive and well, and many people, particularly in World War I and World War II, went through terrible privations. I think about them, the young ones that didn't come back, and basically, you know, I like to think that I'm marching for them and for all those 100,000 young men and women of Australia who died for their country.
There's one particular chap that got badly injured. He was a firefighter at Leichhardt Fire Station. He was badly injured in Afghanistan 2 years ago. So he's still off work and, you know, working really hard to kind of get his life back together. So you definitely think about the more contemporary people that have been injured and died, as well as, you know, as the, you know, all those people that died in 1915.
Remembering all of that is very important, whether it was yesterday or, you know, 50 or 100 years ago. It's all very important to remember and say thanks.
The service continues not only through the Fire Brigade but through defences. And my belief is Anzac Day is not only, as I said, to commemorate the old, but to acknowledge the service. And our young firefighters, whether they're male or female, should be very proud of what they do and be very proud of their service to our nation.